Hey guys, it's FanaticGuide, and this is my 2020 year in review. As you may know, MadOMatic has been doing these type of things for a while now, and I haven't been doing them for my own channel, so I thought I might as well do this for the first time, since I haven't been doing them at all. And since YouTube is not doing a rewind this year at all either, I thought, maybe it'll be a good time to do it. So now we're here. Now, let's get into the good stuff first. More recently, I ended up getting 2,000 subscribers. It was like a couple weeks ago when you're seeing this. But right now it is December 12th when I'm recording this. And it's reaching 2,000 subscribers. So it's a great accomplishment for me. But I think others easily surpass that. And other great news, we ended up surpassing 500 videos earlier this year, and with that I did some different things, like with the intro. You may have seen that montage, and what I did with that is I took 57 of my prior videos, put them all together, and it turned out to be quite interesting in my opinion. And in terms of the world that I used, it wasn't like anything prior that I used before, but rather something that I used when I was with MadOMatic, because he was using that world before. I ended up putting it on Google Drive and then downloading it on my own computer and then using it for that kind of thing. And then back when he had it, he was building something called the House of 1,000 Rooms, and then when I got the world, I expanded that house and then built upon it, and now there's like a lot of stuff going on in there. Now there's even a second story, and now there's like too much to count there. And then, like, in August of this year, we surpassed 600 videos, believe it or not. And we ended up using this computer in my survival world in creative mode. And that was the only world that I have on this computer presently, because on the computer I was using, Minecraft began to lock up and be a pain in the ass. So I began to export worlds from that computer to this computer, and that world, my survival world, was the only world that has been exported so far. I plan to export more worlds, and so far that hasn't come to fruition yet. And the 700th video, believe it or not, was last month, the very end. So, get 500, 600, 700 videos all in the same year. You have to be very fast to do that. And with this year being very damn hectic and off script, you can do that. And being that I've been stuck at home all day, I've been able to do that. And it's basically pretty much the same as the 600th video, still in survival world, all that, in creative mode and whatnot. Not much has changed other than the thumbnail. I blurred that added a shadow effect. And in terms of the video, it's as opposed to the 600 video being 30 frames per second, the 700 video is in 60 frames per second. So the 700 video is a hell of a lot smoother than the 600 video. Anyway, now on to like Let's Plays and whatnot. Minecraft Survival with Advancements. That was carried over from a long time ago. Like, since 1.12 came out. And all the episodes in 2020, that will be the last 16 episodes. And in terms of that Let's Play, we ended up completing all the advancements in version 1.16, which released this past summer. And then before that, we ended up completing, I'm actually looking right now, we ended up completing the Serious Dedication Advancement, the former Serious Dedication Advancement before they changed it in 1.16. Like where you had to use up a diamond hoe completely. And also, actually, looking for something that I can't seem to find it. Advancements like What a Deal, Hired Help, and whatnot. Those type of things. And yeah, that's been it with that series in terms of advancements. Now, in terms of Apex Legends, I started that this year, and I was actually recording episodes briefly. And we did the practice mode, went on matches, I did terribly in matches, and then all of a sudden it came to me, I should start streaming this, because a lot of people are streaming this, and it's really popular on streaming sites like Twitch. So I did that. I even did it here for sometimes. And I felt pretty positive about it. Anyway, now on to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. I thought that was pretty interesting. I did the campaign mode for that. I did like the first 3 sections of that. And I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought the graphics were also pretty cool as well. The gameplay was interesting to say the least. Now, as for like the elephant in the room, why I say that is because it is truly the elephant in the room right now, because it is a fan game based on a 2006 video game that was rushed to market. That would be Sonic P06, which is based on Sonic 06, which again was rushed to market, which is why it is full of glitches and is ultimately unplayable. And back in like late April, early May, I played that. I played like version or demo 2.5. And back then it only had like 5 playable zones in it. That would be Wave Ocean, Dusty Desert, Flame Core, Radical Train, and Kingdom Valley, yeah. Those were the only playable worlds at the time, and that was the most recent version at the time. Now, Chaos X has released a newer version of P06, which adds the 4 remaining stages. That would be Crisis City, Aquatic Valley, not Aquatic Valley. What am I saying? I think you all get it. The rest of the stages in the Sonic story. And now he's working on Shadow's story as well. So anyway, that was pretty interesting. He sorted out a lot of things, including but not limited to the loading screens, which were long in Retail Sonic 06. And so now they're short, sweet, like they need to be. And so now moving on to Ballarat, which is pretty interesting. You can compare it to Apex and Fortnite and things like that in CSGO. But I have to say, interesting as well. I started it this year as well. And like Apex, I also did like actual episodes that I recorded and then I switched to live streams, which I do on Twitch now, and then repost them on YouTube. And it's getting interesting, to say the least. I want to do more than unrated, because you would think that unrated is the only playable mode, but you can unlock competitive after you play 20 matches, and that matches you with players that are like your rank and whatnot. And I made a stream that is like entirely about that, but it didn't really turn out that well, to be honest. So maybe in the future I'll make a Valorant stream, like on deathmatch, things like that. And now moving on to Terraria. This was one of the first Let's Plays on my channel, and then I got a new computer, and for some reason I was unable to install Terraria on that computer, and it wasn't until I got this computer that I was able to actually play it. And the official quote-unquote revival of that series was episode 9, which was posted last year, and then the actual episodes in this year were episodes 10 to 35. And to be honest, I actually do not know where the future of Terraria is, because Relogic has said that version 1.4, which is known as Journey's End, would be the final update, and then they released 1.4.1, which is titled Journey's Actual End. So I don't know where the series is going to be in the next year or two. So who knows? I really can't predict what they're going to do, since they said one thing and did another. Well, apart from bug fixes, except 1.4.1 was also a feature update. You should always count on someone to release bug fixes, because you should never count on software to be entirely bug-free. There are always going to be bugs somewhere in there. And then, of course, Realm of the Mad God Exalt. Can't forget that. Because Realm of the Mad God, the original one, was one of the first Let's Plays on my channel, and then that was cancelled. And back in 2017, I made a video titled "Is Realm of the Mad God Dead?" because I saw, I think it was Reddit, that it was somewhere on Reddit, somewhere, I don't know where, I forget, that said that Realm of the Mad God was dead. And then I went back and searched that. I searched, "Is Realm of the Mad God dead?" And then Realm of the Mad God Exalt came up, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And unknowingly, I clicked on it and said, Uni remake of Realm of the Mad God. And I'm like, okay, I'll download it and see what it's like. And who knew? It was so much like the original Realm of the Mad God with some changes as well, like 3D support and whatnot, and HD support too. Anyway, now moving on to Assassin's Creed Black Flag. This was one of the launch times for the Xbox One, but it came on the Xbox 360 as well, because at the time they were still making Xbox 360 and Xbox One games as well. Right now they are making Xbox Series S and X games and Xbox One games as well. But expect in the next 2 years or 3 to not be the case. Anyway, as far as Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I thought that was pretty cool, honestly. In my opinion, one of the hardest missions would have to be... the mission Nothing Is True, because in that mission there is extreme stealth, and even if you're detected by someone, you fail. So that may be frustrating for some, but that's just if you're nitpicking. But overall, it's pretty good. The graphics are excellent for a 2013 game. The combat I thought was pretty good, and the overall mechanics I thought were also pretty good. And then after Assassin's Creed Black Flag was another Ubisoft game. That was Watch Dogs 2, which I'm still completing the side missions on. And I got that game for free because I watched the Ubisoft Forward live stream, and that was a mess because people were going for the Watch Dogs 2 game and other merchandise, and I didn't get that game until roughly the end of August. Anyway, I thought the graphics were also pretty good in that game, and the mechanics were interesting. And if anyone were to do what they did in real life, they'd probably get thrown in jail. But that's some nitpicking there, because that's just the average. That's what some parents would think. What some gamers would think is what they compare to of Grand Theft Auto 5. Probably. Because Watch Dogs 2 takes place in San Francisco, whereas Grand Theft Auto 5 takes place in Los Angeles, or as they call it, Los Santos. And Grand Theft Auto 5's world is actually bigger than that of Watch Dogs 2's world. So there are some differences there. I thought I'd bring those up again. I did bring that up in the final episode of Watch Dogs 2, the main story. Because, for those wondering, and for those who are making comparisons to Grand Theft Auto 5, because they have similar mechanics, like throwing people out of cars and whatnot. Yes, they are similar in those senses, but they differ in 1, the cities they take place in, and 2, the world sizes. Anyway, Destiny 2 is another Let's Play I started. I was streaming on Twitch at first, and then I reposted on YouTube. And long story short, I ended up stopping it temporarily because of technical difficulties, unfortunately. And my overall opinions on Destiny 2 are, I like the graphics. It has nice combat to it, nice multiplayer. It's pretty interesting overall. And then, what we're doing right now, Red Dead Redemption 2. The graphics are awesome, to say the least. And you really have to find something. You really have to, like, really search hard, to really think hard to find something bad about the game. And you really can't find anything bad about the game. My opinions are excellent about the game so far. It's been really excellent. So far in 2020, we've completed the first 5 to 6 episodes, and it's been a good experience. Now, in terms of single takes or one takes, or whatever you want to call them, there was Dave & Buster's Rampage gameplay. I did one other gameplay at Dave & Buster's that was of Space Invaders that was much more popular than the Rampage gameplay. And the Rampage gameplay was the last time I actually saw MadOMatic in person. So that was actually before this whole thing happened. And also before this Dave & Buster's, that particular one, quote-unquote temporarily closed. And I kind of feel bad for them because they opened less than a year before that happened. So if they ever do reopen, they'll kind of be in a run for money. Anyway, now my second monitor tutorial. That would be basically hooking up a second monitor to your computer. It's really helpful for multitasking in terms of my experience with it. So you can just have one thing up and then another thing up. It's like if you're typing a document on one screen and then doing your research on another, or like, say editing a video on one screen and then having your files up on another. That's one thing. Or even playing a video game on one screen and then having like OBS or Task Manager up on another to see like the status of OBS, or to see how your CPU or GPU is doing, things like that. That is really helpful, so you know what's going on. So that's what I covered in that video. And then Battle Stations Midway for the Xbox One. That was pretty good. Because Battle Stations Midway was an Xbox 360 game that you can play on the Xbox One through backwards compatibility, and now also the Xbox Series S and X through backwards compatibility. And I got this game back when I had the Xbox 360, and then my Xbox 360 died, and I got the Xbox One. I kept that game along with Halo 4, because I knew those games worked with the Xbox One. So, yeah, I just wanted to post that up because I felt like it, and to see how it would perform on the Xbox One. It performed pretty good, actually. So, for those wondering about backwards compatibility on the Xbox One and Series S and X, if this is some foreign concept to you, or if you're just curious about it, then go see the link below my face now. Okay, so now moving on to the review on the new iPhone SE. Well, the design is not so new because the design dates back to the iPhone 6 and was further evolved with the iPhone 7 and further evolved with the iPhone 8. Because the iPhone SE is an iPhone 8 with the iPhone 11 processor. We went further in depth than that in that review, and then also speculated on Jon Prosser's speculation, even though Jon Prosser's actually been a fairly accurate leaker, but you always have to take leaks. You always have to take leaks with a grain of salt. But those leaks pertain to the Plus variant, which, hence the name, is purported to be based on the iPhone 8 Plus. And I said in that video that it would be based on the A13 processor. Now the rumor is that it's going to be based on the A14 processor. And I said back then, because Jon Prosser said it, that it would be released in the second half of not the second half, the first half of next year. Now, the rumor is the second half of next year, because of all this stuff. Now, I hear that the new iPhone SE will not be getting an update, but there are rumors floating around that the new iPhone SE will be getting an update, and that the purported iPhone SE Plus will be getting an A14. But by logic, I think the iPhone SE Plus, purportedly, if it does come, will be getting the iPhone 8 Plus chassis, A13, extra gig of RAM from the regular iPhone SE that was released earlier this year, and will stomp on the iPhone XR's toes, literally, because it is said to be priced at $499. Well, guess what? The iPhone XR is priced at about $499. So you have two phones priced the same way, and one has an older design, one has a newer design. Which one are the people holding onto their iPhone 6 Plus or their iPhone 7 Plus more likely to buy? Who the hell knows? Anyway, next up is the Vindicator Jockey, or how to spawn one. This was made upon viewer requests, and all it just was me spawning a quote-unquote Vindicator Jockey by just spawning a villager, spawning a Vindicator on top of a villager, and the villager that the Vindicator was just running around all over the place because he had a villager literally on top of his head. It was literally the most hilarious thing on earth. And next we move on to Fancy Pants Adventure World. This was not really a one take. It was split into two parts because there were two levels. But this kind of brings me back to like a decade ago when I played Fancy Pants on Miniclip. And I thought it was good to bring me back to those days. And kind of fun to go back to the days of what will now be Unity games because Flash is going away. So there will be no more Flash games. So be prepared, y'all. Flash is no more. So uninstall Adobe Flash and be prepared. Anyway, as for the Minecraft Seed showcases, I ended up doing one for 1.15. I did 4 seeds for that. They ended up turning out to be quite nice. And I tried to find the best seeds that I can, and the most interesting ones at that. So I just go about like external sources. Maybe next I should try like making ones on my own, but they won't be as interesting. Oh well. But anyway, I did 4 for 1.15 and then 5 for 1.16. And in 1.16 I covered the Nether because in 1.15 the Nether was more monolithic in 1.15 than it was in 1.16 because in 1.16 the Nether had 4 more biomes than it did in 1.15. So I thought, why not cover the Nether in 1.16 so they get a sense of what they're seeing? Because the Nether is more of an actual place now and not a monolith. Anyway, I also did Mario Kart Tour, the most popular racing game on iOS that on the App Store. Let's see if that's the case now. Not the most popular racing game anymore. It was at the time when I got it. Well, it's one of the most popular anyway. But I ended up playing as Toadette at first, which I tend to not be as favorable as playing Toadette, but oh well, the game forces me to, I guess, oh well. And then, bypassing the Fortnite paywall on Xbox, that did not go as well as I thought it would, because this was another viewer requested video, and I thought, maybe I could do this. And it turns out it was Game Pass Day where everyone got to experience Game Pass for free. And I had no idea this was happening. So I was like, okay, I will do this. And I had no idea Game Pass was happening. Not Game Pass. I had no idea that Game Pass was free for like 4 days. And little did I know I would get notified about it by a viewer. So after like a couple days after Game Pass week was over, I got like stampeded with comments saying that it wasn't working. And then I tested it out and it wasn't working. So I changed the thumbnail, I changed the title to acknowledge that it wasn't working. So that kind of drove viewers away. And that was the intent. And now moving on to the Xbox Series S versus Xbox One S all digital edition design. As you may know, the Xbox Series S does not play any physical games, and so the Xbox One S all digital edition doesn't play any physical games either, hence the name. So I thought, being that they're both white and they're all digital consoles, why not do a design compare between them? Well, it turns out it was kind of a simple compare between them. And so what I did was I just had images of them side by side. And it was quite simple. You couldn't get simpler than that. Since the Xbox One S all digital edition is just an Xbox One S without the disc drive, and the Xbox Series S is just a less powerful Xbox Series X. It is in fact the least powerful of the 9th generation consoles. So there you go with that. And then of course, the Wii to HDMI unboxing. What I did was I ended up buying an HDMI adapter for the Wii. You can actually buy these for like really cheap on Amazon. You can just plug it into the Wii's proprietary display port, and then that changes it to an HDMI signal, even though it says it adapts it to 1080p, or upscales to 1080p. It does not. It will only go up to the Wii's native 480p, which sucks. But anyway, it's really good if you're using a TV that only has HDMI ports, and if you have an Elgato capture card, like me. And anyway, it's also good if you want to avoid using an iPhone to capture your Wii, because if you're using an iPhone to capture your Wii, you're not going to get the best quality. I was using a camera to capture my Wii and Xbox 360 footage for like, what, 2-3 years? And then I switched to a capture card, and I'm much happier with that than I ever was with using a camera to capture that footage. Because using a camera to capture that footage is going to result in crappy footage. Because you're just recording a TV that is outputting the signal. Whereas if you're using a capture card, you're actually recording the actual console. Anyway, moving on. On the day the iPhone 12 came out, on the day the iPhone 12 was revealed, I ended up making a review of both the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro, I ended up thinking it was really interesting because it had 5G, something that's going to be expanding. And it's something that we're going to see a lot of nowadays. And I also thought that the 12's additional camera features were going to be pretty cool. It's an enhancement over what the 11 had. And I also thought that Apple overstated what the A14 can do. I've been thinking that since like a while now, since they released the A11 chip, because since the A11 has, since the A11, the chips have had hexacore designs in them. They've had hexacore chipsets, meaning they have 6 cores, and they can be more efficient and can perform better. But since the A12, they have shown like marginal improvement over their predecessor, and that is true with the A14. Even though it is a 5nm chip, you don't see that much improvement performance-wise over chips like the A13, the A12, the A11. It's just marginal improvements. On paper, you'd see improvements, but in real-world testing, you will not see any actual improvement. But aside from talking about the chipset performance on iPhones, we're gonna move on to Left 4 Dead 2, surprisingly. And this was pretty popular. Surprisingly popular, actually. And some of you may be surprised I didn't do a full Let's Play on this, but someone else owns this game. It's on someone else's computer, so I couldn't do that. Plus, it was a pain in the ass to export from that computer to my computer. So, anyway, that was pretty cool. It was my first time playing Left 4 Dead 2, and I thought it was pretty cool. Like, just going after zombies and whatnot. You can do that with in Call of Duty at any time, or Dead Rising. But I've heard that they're going to be releasing a quasi-sequel called Back 4 Blood. Probably developed by Turtle Rock, which is the same company that developed it last time. And I think that's going to be pretty cool. I think the same people who are playing Left 4 Dead will likely come back to buy Back 4 Blood. I don't know. Anyway, as for Left 4 Dead video, like the specs, was the first time I had ever done native 4K, even 4K 60, because 4K 60 would be better than 4K 30. You get like a more fluid experience, and you get smoother video, smoother movements, things like that. Plus, I was using a 4K monitor anyway. So, that is not quite it. Because, in terms of Left 4 Dead, MadOMatic is actually going to be making a Let's Play on Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. So both Left 4 Dead games. So look forward to that coming. And anyway, if you enjoyed this video, then please make sure to rate, comment, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you next time.